This week we will look at witchcraft in early modern Europe. You should know what period early modern refers to. It refers to the period about 1450 to 1750. And during this period, there were many outbreaks of witchcraft hysteria. As you will see from the slide, there were enormous numbers of people who were accused of being witches and then executed by being witches after a trial. You'll see too that 80% of them were women, which is an amazing statistic. So why was there such hysteria? Well, we know during this time the Reformation was happening. We've looked at the religious wars that were underway. So religion was on people's mind. God was on people's mind. Change was in the air. So when there's so much change going on, panic and hysteria can be common. People try to accuse other people of not being as holy. People look for those who are opposed to their religion, and belief in the devil was increased. Some historians have looked at other events that have been underway during this period. Environmental events, social occurrences, economic change. Maybe there was climate change during this period. During climate change, crops could fail, famine could occur, and other occurrences could be underway due to climate. Disease and epidemics could break out. Peasants were restless due to the social and economic circumstances. People in power maybe were losing their power and were restless. Economics could have changed, causing inflation, and capitalism was growing with a lot of consequences for poor people. So in this atmosphere, people were likely to panic or behave abnormally. This image here kind of speaks for itself. Here we see a traditional image of a witch, and we see people delivering some officers of a court perhaps delivering a legal writ, accusing her of the crime of witchcraft, and perhaps taking her to be put on trial for the crime of witchcraft. It's important to note that when somebody was accused of witchcraft, this was a crime, just like any other crime, a felony, in fact, in England. So we see that there were inquiries, there were judges, there was no jury for cases of witchcraft, and people could be tortured in order to get a confession, and there was a whole legal process leading up to a conviction, and in many cases a conviction could lead to an execution. So we should ask ourselves, why were women often considered witches in the majority of cases? Well, women were considered the weaker sex, therefore more susceptible to the devil's advances. Women were something of a sexual mystery to men. Society was dominated by men, and perhaps women were considered a sexual mystery to men. Women were involved in childbirth. Women were midwives. Women also prepared the bodies of the dead. So women may have been assumed to have this power or this relationship with the dead, with the afterlife, or with the devil. So we need to ask, where did witchcraft break out? So there was witchcraft outbreaks in Germany, in Italy, certainly in Germany more so than any other place. There weren't that many witchcraft outbreaks in England, but there were some, and certainly a lot in Scotland to the north of England. So breaking it down, we see Scotland, which is in the north of England, some other parts of England, localized, in German states, in Switzerland and Austria, and in the Low Countries. So why here and not in other places? Well, one answer is here were some very intense religious conflict. Perhaps there were some intense climate issues and some disease issues as well, but